1976. America turned 200 years old.
This is an all-timer.
Starbuck led the Cowboys as quarterback, and a young meteorologist began work at the first TV station in Texas.
This is David Finfrock, Channel 5 Action News.
Look at the direction these hailstones are coming. They are not just falling, they are, some of them blowing almost vertically. In addition to the hail, though, one of the big problems has been flooding. Look at this. This is a live picture, and we do seem to have a tornado right in downtown Fort Worth right now. If you're in this area, Robeson Ranch, Argyle, you should take cover immediately. You can just look around and see the home is basically gone.
He's helped us get through 40 years of hailstorms and heat waves, floods and freeze warnings, tropical systems and tornadoes. He's connected Texas with moments that make us proud to live here.
You don't come out here messing with me, Finfrock. Finfrock.
Howdy, folks. I'm doing my best Big Tex impression here. We're all working towards the same goal, looking to keep viewers safe. Best part of my career is working with such a great group of people.
From NBC5, this is 40 Years of Finfrock.
Hello, I'm NBC5 meteorologist Rick Mitchell. It's my honor to bring you this special about someone many of us consider to be like family. For 40 years, David Finfrock has been the voice of calm, even during the worst Texas storms. But there's the David you may not know, the family man, and the volunteer with a heart as big as Texas. Those stories are just ahead. But we start with the event that sparked David's interest in weather and how he nearly missed becoming a TV meteorologist.
Carla moved through the Yucatan Channel into the Gulf of Mexico on the 7th.
In 1961, as Hurricane Carla closed in on the Texas coast, an 8-year-old boy in Houston studied the storm.
For the latest weather information, I would tune into the radio news station to listen for the latest coordinates.
The eye was under continuous surveillance.
Then I'd pull out my hurricane tracking chart and put the latitude and longitude and track the motion of the storm and see where it was headed.
Hurricane Carla destroyed homes and businesses, but it launched a lifetime of storm tracking for David Finfrock.
After that, I bought a weather station, set it up in the backyard, and each day before school, when I got home from school, and before bedtime, I'd go out and jot down the temperature and humidity and pressure.
While David embraced the power of Mother Nature, you couldn't say the same for public speaking.
I was a little kid, introverted, very shy. I was definitely afraid of getting up in front of people.
Years later, David excelled at meteorology at Texas A&M, but he also had to face his fears.
I petitioned my college counselor to let me take another semester of Russian instead of public speaking. And he said, no, if you want to graduate, you got to take speech. I took it and I made an A. I was amazed. I found out that I could do it.
Working in TV was the farthest thing from David's mind as he approached graduation. But a forecaster in Fort Worth was searching for a new meteorologist and came across David's transcripts.
All I knew was the people I watched growing up in Houston. So I had no idea who Harold Taft was when one day, out of the blue, I got a phone call inviting me to come interview for the position.
Channel 5 was the first station in the Southwest to set up a weather center, such as you see here.
Legendary meteorologist Harold Taft. He was the first to produce TV weather maps, first on blackboards and later on paper when we started broadcasting in color. But David's audition for Harold was less than stellar.
I didn't gauge very carefully how far it was to that drop-off on the back of the anchor desk, and the chair goes toppling over. Now, I fortunately scrambled to my feet, and I didn't go over with it, but you hear this huge crash on the tape behind me. I kept going, and he said if I could do that on my job interview, I'd probably be able to handle anything that would come up in live television.
This was the Dallas skyline when David arrived in 1976. Reunion Tower was still waiting for its dome. DFW Airport was only 2 years old. Since then, David and NBC5 have been on the forefront of new technology for tracking storms.
Tracking storms on radar has come a long way since 1976 when David first came to NBC5.
You would look at the displays, and it was all black and white, of course. You would see the sweep going around, and as it did, you would get a little blip on the screen when it detected an echo, a storm off in the distance.
Roads are glazed and icy.
In the 1980s, color radars debuted. In 2003, another TV first in Dallas-Fort Worth. NBC5 installed the first million-watt, high-resolution radar, which gives us a look at severe storms with incredible detail and images minutes faster than any other station.
We're looking for the green right against the red. That's where we have the strongest area of rotation.
And now we've put the radar in your hands with the NBC DFW app.
Things have changed a lot, and the best news is it's going to continue to change. We're going to get better.
David was tested a lot on live television. He recently shared with me his top storms of his 40-year career.
We were watching this supercell moving in March 28, 2000, coming in through northwestern Tarrant County. All of a sudden, in the control room, they switched to our tower cam in downtown Fort Worth. Oh, all right, look at this. This is a live picture, and we do seem to have a tornado right in downtown Fort Worth right now. This is incredible. We have a tornado live in downtown Fort Worth. Everyone in Tarrant County, take cover immediately.
The tornado injured dozens. It battered the Cash America building, destroyed a church, and blew out many windows of a high-rise building then known as the Bank One Tower. But it was not the last time David covered tornadoes as they happened live on air.
Spring of 2012, and I'm working in Oklahoma City, and we're in a meeting, and someone comes in and says, are you seeing what's going on in Dallas? And they show us this video of semi-trailers flying through the air. That was Chopper 5.
Yeah, Chopper 5. We had directed it to be in that location because we were watching as this big tornado producing storm was moving up out of Ellis County into southern Dallas County. These trailers were in a parking lot, but just seeing something that huge being lofted and tossed about like toys just indicates the power of the storm.
And that wasn't the only tornado of the day. You were busy that day.
We had two supercells, one coming into Tarrant County, one into Dallas County. The National Weather Service declared tornado emergencies, which has only happened a handful of times here in North Texas over the years.
Let's go way back. Let's go way back to the summer of 1980. Wasn't that just a brutally hot summer? How did you handle that?
1980 is the one that we think back on, for those of us who have been here a long time, as just the most excruciating heat wave ever. Not only for how long it lasted, but for how extreme the temperatures were. June 26th and June 27th of 1980, we hit 113 degrees, 2 consecutive days. The next day, cooled off to 112.
You've seen some winter events.
I sure have. And, you know, that's not what Texas is known for, but we've had several big ones. And then came that terrific snowstorm, 12 inches, 12 and a half actually, in 24 hours. And I remember that one because we knew it was going to be a heavy snow. But worse than that was one that you did share with me.
Yeah.
You remember the name of that one?
Cobblestone Ice. I'll never forget that one.
It was just incredible, that sleet just being packed down, and the temperature each day would rise just barely above freezing, so you get just a little bit of melt and then plunge way below freezing at night, so everything froze solid again after the wheels had churned those ruts, and hence the cobblestone. Number one, without a doubt, is the Mayfest storm. May 5th, 1995. There were 20,000 people out there getting hit by softball-sized hail. The storm moved right over Mayfest. Fortunately, no one was killed, but there were a lot of people sent to the hospital. Then, right over our station, pummeled all the cars in our parking lot. It moved on into Dallas, where it slowed down, produced 5 inches of rain in 1 hour.
Wow.
In an urban environment. And it was the worst flash flooding we've ever had around here. There were 20 fatalities that night, and in all my 40 years, that was the deadliest night I've been through.
When 40 years of Finfrock continues, Meet the other loves of David's life
He's got a different personality when he's being the weatherman than when he's at home.
and see why he visits some viewers twice a month.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
But first, some of David's big adventures. Running with the Olympic torch, trying to stand in a wind tunnel,
This is a 100-mile-per-hour wind.
and jumping out of a plane with the Army's Golden Knights.
It was 2 or 3 seconds of pure terror, followed by 40 seconds of sheer exhilaration.
From NBC5, this is 40 Years of Finfrock.
You can ask him any question. He knows the answer to everything, and then he also knows the history behind the answer to everything.
I think it's an honor, working with somebody who's been here for so long. He's seen it all.
He actually printed out a sheet of names that are really commonly mispronounced across the North Texas area before I started working here, so I was able to practice those and get them right before my first day on air.
Sometimes those models, even though they may try to forecast what's going to happen, the years of experience will tell you, no, that's not going to take place. And that's where David is so invaluable. He does know those kind of things.
When we say Texas connects us, there may be no bigger example than David. There's no doubt where David is from when you go to his home.
Are we going to want to use one of these spots to park it? Sunday, there are some models, and all of Wednesday. Well, I did it on Facebook. All the rain has moved off to the east, and for us,
At the end of a long day at NBC5, David Finfrock heads to his oasis. David's home life is every bit as Texan as he is. There's the bluebonnets in a yard that he landscaped.
I don't go to work out at a gym. I get all of my workout either here or down at our ranch.
Go inside and you step into the past.
Here you can see a collection of how the map of Texas changed over the years.
His home is decorated with maps from before Texas was part of the U.S.
But I was fortunate to have these.
The collection also includes an earlier era in David's career.
It was really cutting edge back in the 60s and 70s.
David showed me a stack of paper maps that he and Harold Taft used before NBC5 switched to computer weather graphics.
Did Harold have a specific way that he wanted the arrows to look? Is that?
Well, this is basically the way he did it, and I emulated him.
But there's something David loves even more than the maps that are here. His wife, Sherry, who he's known nearly as long as he's been at NBC5.
About a year and a half after I got here, I met Sherry at a party.
David was the new member of the church choir.
This job helped me come out of my shell a little bit.
I didn't ever see him on TV until he asked me out, and then I watched him on TV.
We clicked immediately. We met. 5 months to the day later, we were married. We do still have severe thunderstorm warnings.
Being the wife of a chief meteorologist comes with some sacrifices.
If it's icy, he stays at the station or he stays at a hotel near the station and doesn't come home. So I'm kind of on my own in bad weather.
The Finfrocks have 2 children, son Ryan and daughter Jennifer.
When I finished chemo and radiation, it's been great.
Back in 2009, NBC5 viewers learned about Jennifer's battle with breast cancer at age 34, despite no family history of the disease.
The next year, we did the big walk together for breast cancer. It's been 8 years that she's a survivor now, and 2 wonderful grandchildren that she is able to raise, and we are able to enjoy, and just so thrilled that everything is going so well.
I must say that when my own wife went through that, you were a great comfort because you told me, listen, this is a 2-year deal, it's a 2-year process, but there's a good chance everything's going to work out.
Everything's looking great for your wife as it is for my daughter, and it's just amazing the progress we've seen in medicine.
Over the years, David has planted trees at schools, helped beautify neighborhoods, and played softball with wounded warriors. David is serious about community service, and we recently followed him around one of his favorite volunteer activities.
We've got a cold front dropping down across Oklahoma.
We're used to David delivering forecasts on TV, but twice a month, he delivers something else. David stacks up, packs up, and drives around Fort Worth. bringing lunch to a half-dozen seniors. He has volunteered for Tarrant County Meals on Wheels for nearly 17 years.
Meals on Wheels.
Mary Lou Adams looks forward to seeing her favorite meteorologist in her living room.
You look great today.
He's just a real down-to-earth person, and you know, we talk about different things. The thing that amazes me is that he remembers things about me and, you know, that we've talked about, and he brings it up in conversation.
David's dedication is admired.
When people are very busy, like David Finfrock, it's easy to say, I don't have time. But we find that volunteers like David that have a busy schedule that make time for our program is very important.
I did a little research on you. I know how you're a better actor than I thought you were.
Lunch comes with laughter when David stops by Richard Pridemore's house. The World War II vet is also a fellow Aggie.
What do you guys talk about when he shows up?
Oh, weather and Aggies and football, and we used to talk about girls, but David's married and I'm an old man, so we can't talk about ladies anymore.
You're looking good today.
David says he gets something out of his deliveries as well.
Some of these people I have been delivering to for years, and we've gotten to be good friends. And it makes you feel good to be able to help someone who can really use that help.
We've seen the start. Up next, find out when David's final forecast on NBC5 will happen. But first, do you remember when David delivered forecasts for Telemundo?
Temperatura máxima fue de 96 grados en el aeropuerto de Dallas-Fort Worth.
Or when he took on Newy Scruggs in basketball?
Let me see a little D. Oh! Yeah, it's raining threes.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Please share your memories of David Finfrock using the hashtag FinFrock40.
One thing that people don't know about him is that he likes to take off his shoes when he gets into the weather center every day. I guess he likes to be comfortable when he's working on the forecast.
I think that the most that I have learned from David is just to be who you are and be trustworthy for the people, like share who you are with the people.
He's very upbeat. I particularly like his positive attitude about things. I think he's easy to understand. He puts it in layman's terms, and he listens to other people.
I think David is an institution, a person that means quality, fairness, calmness.
To me, David Finfrock is a scientist, a scholar, and a gentleman. It doesn't get any better than that.
This is 40 years of Finfrock.
I think everyone at the station would say that you're probably one of the most down-to-earth people that they've ever met. And I've heard if anybody could have an ego, it's Finfrock. and you don't.
Everybody's got an ego, but you learn to keep it in check. There are other things that are more important. I don't know that I have any enemies anywhere. You know, I try to be a good guy. I try to do my job. I think about what the viewers need.
You and I will joke about your upcoming retirement. What do you plan on doing?
Well, you know, it's still 2 years away, so I'm not out the door quite yet, but I'm thinking more about what I do want to do, and what it is more of the same, but on my own schedule.
Vacation is important to David, but not the kind you and I might take. On his off time, David has repaired national park trails, conducted scientific expeditions in Alaska, and helped with an archaeological dig on Easter Island. David looks forward to more of this after he signs off TV in May of 2018.
What I'm hoping is that I will be able to travel more, see some of these exotic locations, help out with scientific research, do more volunteer work. I really enjoy everybody I work with. I enjoy the job that I do. I just want to have more free time.
And more time for his newest hobby, watercolor. From the streets of Puerto Rico to wild birds, David is again creating colorful art on a canvas.
Now, there's been some concern, what happens when David's no longer a full-time part of the team? Well, I don't have any concerns because number one, I work alongside you every day, but also we have such a strong team throughout our meteorology department and the support of the newsroom all around us. I don't think there's going to be any particular drop-off.
One of the reasons why I thought that this job was so was right for me is because you sat me down before you ever hired me and said, look, I want to retire in 5-6 years, but I want a chance to work with the person who's going to take over for me. And I just thought that was a wonderful opportunity for me to learn and kind of observe.
It's just the same way I watched and worked with Harold Taft, learned from the best. And with us working together, it's just been great teamwork, camaraderie, and with all the rest of the folks in the weather office, I think we're in great hands for the future.
Like you, all of us get to experience David for another 2 years. I'm NBC5 meteorologist Rick Mitchell. Thanks for helping us celebrate 40 years of Finfrock.